Hey guys, I wanted today to kind of look at the two seeds that are in the world. You either have the good seed and you have the bad seed, and this is something that was established really in the beginning with Cain and Abel. But then Abel was killed, but then Seth was sent. Seth means substitute. So you had the line of Seth and you had the line of Cain. These are the two seeds that are in the world. Okay, we're gonna take a look at some of this here right now. Kind of been looking and studying some of these things. Let's look at Genesis chapter 4. Let's go to verse 4. And it says, "And Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof. And the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offering." Now, we're going to get into this a little bit in Israel. There was a certain way that God had to tell them to come to the sanctuary and to give offerings, okay? So Abel right here is doing it the right way. He's doing it the way that God must have instructed him this way, because he's doing what God told him to do, okay? But if you look at the next verse, it says, "But unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect. And Cain was very wroth." And wroth, just think like wrath or wrath. Okay, and his countenance fell. Okay, and then the Lord said unto Cain, "Why art thou wroth? And why is thy countenance fallen? If thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted? And if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door. And unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him." Okay? When we sin, Satan is ruling over us. Okay? So if you look here, God tells Cain, if you do good, if you follow my word and my instructions, you will do good. But Cain was not doing good. You see, Cain, when you start to study this out, you'll see that Cain wanted to serve God. And real quick, notice how they're both serving God. Cain and Abel, they were both giving service to God, and they both raised altars. Okay? But Abel did everything the way God told him to do it, and Cain wanted to worship God his own way. Okay? Like a lot of people out there say, like, I could worship God on Sunday, because we know, Saturday is the Sabbath. That's the sign of the Creator, which is Saturday. And some people will say, well, I can keep any Sabbath as long as I keep one day holy to God. But that's just not the case. It's because God establishes all things. Okay? And if we want to be God's people, we have to do things according to how He established them. You see, Cain and the people of Cain and of the wicked one, they want to serve God on their own terms, and that's a wicked way. It's not God's way. Okay. Now the next verse I want to look at, and you know what? Let's look at what these names mean too. In the Hebrew, the name Abel is the name Habel, and it means breath. That's all it says. So Abel means breath. Okay. Now if we look at the name Cain, that is the Hebrew word Cain. Cain. That's the Hebrew word used here, and it means smiths. Now, from what I'm starting to understand, is that smiths is like it's like somebody like a worker of the hands, like a goldsmith or a locksmith, or a person that knows how to create things, and how to like they're a maker. Okay, that's how I understand it so far. But if we go to Genesis 11, I want to take a look at something here. Genesis 11, verse 4, I believe. Okay, this is talking about the Tower of Babel here in verse 4. And you guys notice how these people, God told Adam and Eve to multiply and scatter among the earth, and multiply. But notice how these people, these Babel builders, they all gathered into one place. God, see, they were disobeying God right here. In this example, they were not spreading across the whole earth. They were gathered into one place and they wanted to make a city and make a name for themselves. Okay, this is why God destroyed it. But if you look in verse 9, yeah, I think it's verse 9. Yep, here it is. Therefore, is the name of it is called Babel, because there the Lord confounded their language of all the earth. This is where God brought all the languages into the earth. Like, picture this: they're building the tower, and like the one guy, they were speaking, and then God changed their languages, and then he went and said to the other guy, and all of a sudden he was talking in Russian and Spanish and and like Portuguese and like all these languages, and nobody could understand each other anymore. So they stopped building the tower, and then this is God scattered them all across the earth. But look at the name Babel. Look how the name Abel is in that name. You got B Abel. It's Babel, and it means confusion. Okay. Confusion by mixing. Now think, if Abel means breath and Babel means confusion, and then it's here where the languages got mixed up, it kind of makes me think of like a confusion in the language, in the breath, the words that they spoke. It's kind of what I'm getting out of that. It's kind of cool. But anyways, now there's a couple. Let's look at Hebrews 11:4. I want to look at the name Abel in the Greek. Alright, so Hebrews chapter 11, we're going to look at verse 4. By faith Abel offered unto God a more excellent sacrifice than Cain, by which he obtained witness that he was righteous, God testifying of his gifts, and by it he being dead yet speaketh. So you see, Abel was a good one. He wanted to serve God the way God told him to do it. Okay? And if you look at Cain, we already saw the name of Cain means a smith, like a maker, a creator, or a person who makes things with his hands. He was also a tiller of the ground. Okay? But let's look in Luke chapter 3. Luke chapter 3, verse 36. Which was the son of Canaan, which was the son of Arphaxad, which was the son of Sem, the son of Noah, which was the son of Lamech. I'm not sure why I came to this verse. Oh, I think I was going to look up the word Canaan, because we know what Cain means. Canaan, it means their smith. I'm not sure why I even looked that up. It probably has some type of meaning. I'm not understanding it yet. But let's look. Oh, there's another place of Cain I want to show you. Let's go to 1 John. 1 John 3:12. Okay. Not as Cain, who was of the wicked one, and slew his brother. And wherefore slew he him? Because his own works were evil, and his brothers were righteous. You guys see that? It tells us that Cain was of the wicked one. So Cain was he was the bad seed. He was of the seed of Satan. Okay? And Abel, it tells us that Abel was righteous. So Abel would have been a son of God. Okay? So right here you got two seeds right at the beginning of the earth. You got a son of God and you got a son of Satan. You got the seed of Satan and the seed of God. You got two types of people. Okay? This is the great controversy that has been going on throughout all history. Okay? And why did Cain slew him? Well, it tells us because his works were evil. And because Abel's were righteous, he killed him. But why do you think Satan had him kill Abel? What do you guys think? Because he was righteous. But remember Genesis 3:15. Okay? It said that one day a seed of the woman's going to come and it's going to crush the devil's head. It's going to defeat him. So Satan's probably thinking that Abel could be the one that's here to defeat him. So he has Cain kill him. He influences Cain to get angry with his brother and to sin and ultimately killing him. That's why That's why Cain killed Abel. Satan had him do it. He influenced him to do it. Because, like I said, because Satan's thinking that, this could be the seed that was born of a woman that's going to destroy me. Because I don't think Satan knew who it was going to be. He just knew that at some point he was going to come. So for all he knew, Abel was the one that was going to do it. So isn't that pretty cool? When I was looking that up, I was shocked at learning about all this stuff. Let's look at Jude chapter 1 and verse 11. And it says, "Woe unto them, for they have gone in the way of Cain, and ran greedily after the error of Balaam." Okay? Let's see what Cain means in the Greek. Oh, we already looked at this. It means maker, fabricator, literally a smith. It's got to be a word like locksmith and goldsmith, and that's probably where that comes from. But, yeah, that's all it says on that. But I just think that is so interesting. Now I want to take a look at Seth for a second. Now if we go to Genesis 4:25, and it says, "And Adam knew his wife again, and she bare a son, and called his name Seth. For God said, She hath appointed me another seed instead of Abel, whom Cain slew." So he was sent as a substitute to Abel. Okay, and I'm sure all these have type of Christs that I just haven't realized yet. Abel is the substitute, or Seth was the substitute. You know what I mean? So Abel was sent in place of Abel. Okay, and then Cain couldn't kill him because he was cast out. He was cast out to the east. There's a couple more things I wanted to look at real quick. Let's go to Genesis 2:15 for a second. If you look in Genesis 2:15, "And the Lord God took the man and put him into the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it." Okay. Now I was looking for the name Adam. See where it's in verse 15 it says the man? That's the same word that's used for Adam. It's the Hebrew 120. It's Adam. That's how you pronounce it. And it just means man, mankind, the first man. So that was pretty cool. And then if we kind of look at Eve here in verse 23, I believe it is. "And Adam said, This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man." I find that interesting. She was taken out of man. So Eve always existed from the time Adam existed. Okay, she was of the same substance of Adam. She was just taken out at a later time and brought forth, and generated in a sense. I think that's how the Father and the Son's relationship are. Because if we look at Jesus, because he wasn't created, but he was brought forth, and I think that's the best illustration that God can give to us on the earth, and probably the angels too. Because if you look at Jesus, if he's the same substance of his Father, okay, so he would have no beginning or no ending in that sense, because he was always in the Father, the same substance. There was just a certain point in time when the Father brought his Son forth. And I'm more and more I'm feeling that's the way it is. The more things that I look at, it makes the most sense. It really does. And I always believed in the Trinity too. But the more and more I look at the Bible, I'm just not seeing a Trinity at all. I see two, not three. But that's what we're gonna take a look at, a lot more things like that. There were just a couple more things, and I think that's gonna be it. I wanted to look in. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 15:22. And I think this is just the name of Adam. Yeah, "For as in Adam all die, even so in Christ shall all be made alive. Okay, if we look at the term Adam here in Greek, Adam, it just says the red earth. Adam, the first man. Yeah, that's all it says about that. And think of Jesus would have been the first body and breath put together that the Father, you know, how he did it. It's kind of what I think, but we'll have to touch on more of that later. Look at verse 45 here. This is kind of cool. So it is written, the first man, Adam, was made a living soul, that the last Adam was made a life-giving spirit, or a quickening spirit. Okay. If we look at the first Adam, that's the name Adam, but if we look at the first man, see the word anthropos. That's where we get like our words like anthropology. It comes from that word. I just thought that was kind of cool. I just like looking at the Greek words. I mean, so much of our language has Greek in it. We don't even realize. I love looking at things like that. Yeah, let's go to 1 Timothy. 1 Timothy 2, verse 14. Check this out. And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression. You guys see that? Adam was not deceived. Eve was the one that was deceived. Okay, Adam knew that Adam chose to sin. Eve was deceived into doing it. Okay, Adam didn't want to lose his wife. He loved his wife. So that's why I'm pretty sure that's why he ate the fruit. I think Ellen White says something about that. Because he didn't want to lose her. So he figured that they'd die together. It kind of makes me think of like the Romeo and Juliet story. They both eat the forbidden poison. They die together. I think that was Romeo and Juliet. That's probably where the inspiration to that story comes from. But, so yeah, you see there's two seeds throughout all history. You got the good side and you got the bad side, is basically what it is. So I love looking at things like that. So anyways, that's all I wanted to do. Just kind of look at a couple words. So that's it for this video, you guys. I will be back soon, and I'll have more stuff I'll put up. So take care.